So just scrying the Aethyr of OXO, and the angels bid me relax, and just in a parallel to the noontime scrying, I'm noticing once again what previously seemed like a cylinder, where in which I was sort of like in the middle in the Vitruvian man poses, seemingly to be doing cartwheels instead of going forward, I'm rolling a counter to what would be forward otherwise, but instead unrolling it so that the paper kind of comes like this. The paper of the cylinder. But really, I'm just once again being reminded that this paper unfolds, and it's really much more like a sheet metal where there's a certain amount of fire sent ultimately by the divine, but also by beings who are capable of helping to transmute or transform, is probably a better term, transform reality into something more rectified and more perfect. So, and I'm just viewing that this unrolling of this cylinder creates a vast two-dimensional field, and again there is this feeling of lushness, but perhaps it's because the moon has moved into Gemini, I'm seeing a lot of like informational bits about it. It's still very lush and green, and there's still a lot of promise of, likened to the promise of spring there, but I'm also seeing just almost like a little bit behind the matrix. And I'm getting again this sense that I got in some of yesterday's visions of like this rain falling down, and it's this rain infused with love, but each of these raindrops is also sort of likened to a bit of information or a bit of code like you would see in the Matrix, but rather than just sort of being this cold, almost archonic thing, instead this is this divine, love-inspired information that is trying to work its way through, and it just seems to get a little bit lost in translation until the consciousness of the people here on Earth are able to more readily see it for what it is, which is a great blessing. So the angels are just bidding me be still, and they're raising me up, and I'm getting a little bit of a third-person dissociation. Not badly, not in a negative sense, just it's like I'm getting a little bit of like if you've ever stood between two mirrors, that infinite regress sensation. So, and that's fine. So I'm just sort of looking at this. I'm reminded of certain meditation techniques, which I'll do, which will include that. But then what I'll do is I will compress those together. And I'm being told not to do that. Instead, I'm being told to appreciate the divine in all of his glory, to witness himself, whether or not, directly through one's own consciousness as part of the vastness of the divine, but also the ability of the divine to see into the person and to see through all of those, the person observing themselves. So, and I'm getting a sense of this, but interestingly, I'm being told that there's a unique perspective when somebody it takes on an etheric consciousness that the divine gets. So just to use this analogy, so what I'm seeing is my consciousness is sort of lifted up, back, up into seeing a lot of the earth itself and a lot of the universe itself, just writ large. And what I'm seeing is, imagine seeing that, but seeing the infinite regress of yourself looking at that, as if it were not mirrors per se, but okay, I'm looking at myself looking at the universe, but that person is also looking at himself looking at the universe, and the earth and the universe, and so on and so forth. So there is this sense that when God is sort of looking through and observing through the consciousness that he has created on earth, he's not only forced, so to speak, he's not only looking at the universe. He's looking at himself looking at the universe, and he's looking as us at ourselves looking at the universe. So this is a very encouraging, very sort of rich, sort of mind-blowing, very psychedelic in a very profound, direct way. And the angels are telling me to think back a little bit. Maybe it's because Gebofal is here, the sort of the zodiacal king of Leo, just reminding me of that experience of saying the call to the Aethers, but using one's own name as the thing, as the heavens which dwell in, insert your name, and so on and so forth. That line, that opening, the third word basically in the call to the Aethers. Usually you stick the name of the Aether in there, but instead of you stick in your own name, you get a very psychedelic experience, and I can tell you that from my own experience. And with consent, also, it's interesting to do that for someone else because you get sort of a thematically psychic view of somebody else. All right. So looking at this, Gebofal is instructing me to sort of consider when it was I was looking at myself. There was not only the when I basically was scrying my own name, there's not only the experience of that oneself as this product almost, or a looking into the themes of a person who is yourself and trying to get around a skew, to a certain kind of skew about oneself. And that's not easy. That's much more easily said than done. But nonetheless, this is the challenge of the divine, which is to resolve all of the different skews of everybody that he's experiencing at once. And how do you do that? So this is a lesson of this Aethyr of OXO, and I'm finding it very interesting and helpful in trying to understand the nature of the problems that we are facing as a species, in terms of coming to grips with who we are and where we're going and all of that. And I think we're going to get some big lessons with some of the technological changes in the future. But I think there's the same issues that we're going to confront that way are the same issues that the divine is trying to do all at once for all of us, right? So each of us can be thought of as these individual centers, but I'm being reminded by Gebofal about his counterpart, the zodiacal king Xingchen, who's over Aquarius, which is this outsider point of view. So there's sort of like this inner core, inner identity, just the way things are in a lot of the status quo. And then the outsider, who a lot of times will start something new, do their own thing for a while. People flock to that, and then you have a new center. I'm quoting this idea from Chris Brennan's astrology podcast, but the whole idea is that God's got to kind of do both. So there's this natural flowing of trends and stuff like that from that. But at the same time, we all have to be true to ourselves, but who we are evolves because we're always growing and changing and all of that. So I find this very helpful in terms of setting the stage. And we're not too far from the abyssal Aethyr of Zax. So I think that there's, as one is progressing through Aethers, if one takes them from a bottom-up route, as I do, I just really like it. And I'm sure there are benefits to doing it the other way, but the angels did say the first shall be last and last first. So I think there's a lot to be said for changing things up a little bit, and trying new things. But what I'm noticing is, so that's a lot. So I'm trying to get a sense. So back to this whole idea of the abyssal change, and nothing speaks more about the abyssal experience than getting sidetracked trying to speak about the abyssal experience. So imagine God trying to resolve all of these different skews at once. There's a real need to stay concentrated and focused on all of the things, all of the matters, all of the people experiencing everything all at once, figuring out where this collective heart is going and what's it trying to do. And humanity has gone through so many cycles, and these cycles oftentimes could be likened, let's say, to a heartbeat. But where is, if the cycles that humanity goes through is the heartbeat, where is humanity trying to go with the heart? Where is the blood is pumping to the collective arms and legs, so where are we going to? And that's a real question. Or what's the view, if you wanted to make another analogy, the engine of a car, let's say, where's the automobile driving to? It's a poor analogy because the cars aren't alive. But suffice to say that that's one of the issues. So I'm just focusing here, seeing if there's anything else that the angels or the divine may wish to say. And the sense I get is that the key to getting past some of these issues is really concentrating. So that way one can both, one can feel into the collectiveness or the collectivity of everything all at once by not getting sidetracked about who's inside, who's outside, what's the trend, what's this or that. That is something we can set aside and instead stay focused on, we are one consciousness. We are one mind, basically, one heart mind. And with that, then, we can begin to, maybe not completely, but begin to take in more and more and appreciate and absorb, as it were, this infinite current of the all, more or less. Do our best to get some taste of that so that we can adjust our perspective, and in adjusting our perspective, we're able to take in more and more of that. And this is just a direct apprehension of anybody who's really done the hard work of going through the Aethers and trying to get more and more complete visions of all of them, and been successful and blessed enough to do that. So, okay. So I'm getting a sense of, let me see here. Yeah, I'm getting a sense that this may be it. Just the angels are bidding me to relax. They're working just various parts of my body, and my subtle body, and really trying to bring about wholeness, integration, and peace. So there it is, and thus ends the vision.